Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Review. I am PLD, your host. This is Lego, my co-host. And we've had some scheduling difficulties, but one of the things that the scheduling difficulties allowed us to do is to do the two Big Finish projects back to back instead of having to wait, doing one and then having to wait months to do the second one. We can do all back to back because this one was released pretty recently, but I got this one just about a month ago, I want to say, give or take. And suffice to say, if you didn't watch our review of the first one, you will know pretty right away that Lego and I both are not. These are not our preferred medium of storytelling. We are both more visual storytellers, whether that be movies or I think even I'd rather have a movie or a book or a comic because then we can kind of see what's going on in our heads. This is kind of like they're trying to do both things at once, and it does suffer from that. I think we already kind of talked about that a little bit during the first one. I think we're going to talk about that again during the second one. But I feel like there's a little more going on as far as trying to make it its own thing this time. I kind of felt like there was more they were trying to do that was a little bit separate from the original miniseries. But we're going to get all into that. First of all, Lego, how are you?
Oh, hanging in there, I guess.
That's a ringing endorsement.
It's rough out here in these existent streets.
Streets, absolutely. Okay, so let's just we'll get right into it. We'll break it down. We did get some answers to our questions on the first one in terms of why are these characters missing. These characters are no longer missing. Most of the characters that we had talked about who did not make an appearance in the first one made appearances in the second one in different ways. And it does seem to me that what this tried to do, and whether it was a good choice or not, your miles may vary, is dedicate like big chunks of the story to like introducing a character or a little mini group of characters and try to give them their own little like shtick for a while. While it's interesting on paper to me, it does serve to, you pointed out to me, it does serve to slow the story down quite a bit.
Yeah, I think, this is essentially episode 4, 5, and 6 of a story that clearly needed an episode 7. Didn't have one. To introduce so many characters in your back half and then essentially make the story about almost all of them with really only Robin having a large narrative story. Well, Robin and Mike. Having a large aspect of the story from the existing characters is a baffling and, in my opinion, poor choice. It just really did not work for me. And then the characters themselves, also a little baffling. Like maybe I missed it. Okay, so in the original story, we had a Jewish family.
Correct.
In this one, they make immigrants from South Africa. And in the original story, we did have a black family who they were not, immigrants. And here, I'm pretty sure they made them Irish.
I don't know what they are, honestly. That's part of the problem I have. I agree with you on that. That's part of the problem.
I'm certain they're Irish.
We have the Taylors.
Was his name Elwyn?
Elwyn and there was Elwyn and Brennan and Colin. Those are the three names. I don't even know.
Yeah, they're Irish.
Yeah, Brennan and Colin.
And I'm like, but for why though? Like they could have been the immigrant family.
Right. I agree that was a little baffling to me because like it's like we have this family, like you already have this black family from the first film, Caleb, Ben, and Elias, as it were. But it's almost like, well, we want to have, instead of the Jewish, we're going to have the South African. Well, we can't have more than one black family now.
Yeah, it is giving that very much so.
Right. That's not a good sign. Definitely not. In fact, I actually would have preferred that because it would have been interesting to see like the two juxtapositions of two different black families and a different style of black family, like an immigrant from South Africa, and then maybe a black family that was from Britain. So like it makes kind of different backgrounds, which makes it even more interesting. But they didn't choose to go that way.
And then Willie. Willie was too capable. They gave us like Alan Rickman when they should have given us Rick Mayall. It was a miss. A lot of these, almost every choice they made was a miss to me. These
For you.
don't think they did anything that I'm so sorry. I wish I liked it more, but almost everything in this was a miss for me.
I don't disagree. Like some of the choices they made, like I wonder. I didn't listen to the interviews like I did last time. I didn't get a chance to listen to they have the interviews after all the things, and sometimes they talk about different clips. I listen to like a part of one interview. I just didn't have time to listen to the other ones. I will eventually, and maybe I'll report back after I listen to them. But the one thing I did hear is that they wanted to give characters their own story, like make one episode be about the character. So that was their choice. I don't justify that. I honestly think it was a bad decision as well. I just don't understand why they made the changes. Like, were they changes just to like, well, we can't have the exact same story, so let's change this. If you're gonna
But they
change
are
something,
giving us the exact same story. They're just
right,
changing the characters, which should change the story.
right, or at least I will say I think I liked it better than you because we don't usually text or DM too much beforehand about like what we liked or what we didn't like. But we did kind of get into it a little bit, and you came up with you spoke to me. You said that basically you felt like there was no story. Pretty much, is that what it felt like towards the end? And I think I want you to explain to me what you mean by that in terms of plot, because I think plot-wise, if you look back to the original miniseries, and we'll talk about the change, we're going to get to the changes again. If you go back to the original miniseries, I wonder if this is a case. I do wonder if it's a case of how when we watched it together for this podcast, we watched it straight through. It was like the original miniseries and right the final battle right afterwards, kind of thing. If you just break it down to those first two episodes, so it's 4 hours of TV versus 6 hours here of the audio side of things, I do feel like plot wise we were in a kind of a similar spot, but you didn't seem to think so. And let me just explain what I mean by that. Like, I feel like what we got is the visitors arrive, we introduce our characters. By the end of the original miniseries, we had a resistance that was somewhat formed, and we had the visitors main. This is not a V2009 problem. We kind of understand what they're here for. It is similar to when they're here for food, they're here for the water. And we ended on a kind of cliffhanger-ish kind of thing in terms of like in the original, it was we're sending out the signal to the other aliens, the enemies of the visitors. In here, we didn't quite get that far. We ended up doing more about the pregnancy thing, which I know makes your favorite part of it because you were talking about that last time how much you were loving the pregnancy bit. But Robin ended like up firing at Brian, maybe killing Brian, but maybe not. We're still not sure yet. I don't think she did because I think that was a weird cliffhanger because it feels like storytelling wise, what they had done with the character so far, it would not make sense for her to have to off Brian at that point.
Also, like book ending it with her, like positions her as the main character.
Yes. Okay, I get that.
Not great for me.
That's true. But you see what I'm saying? Like plot wise, we feel like we're in the similar ending point. Like that's like where we were, because then there was that cliffhanger where we got to like more of the battle sequence and stuff, and more of the actual resisting in the final battle, as it were. So you understand what I'm trying to say? Like, refute me. I'm happy to hear this refuting it.
I'm trying to figure out how to explain this. We have figured out why the visitors are here.
Okay.
They did a terrible job of that reveal. We're going through the pregnancy thing with Robin. Willie's famous. I don't know, but what is the resistance doing? Where is the story going? What is the purpose of why I am listening? Because right now, how the story is positioned, this is a story about Robin's pregnancy that is in the background. There's an alien invasion.
Okay.
And Donovan's trying to get his son back. That's
okay. Interesting. Okay, so I still feel the resistance was still part of the bigger part of the story, but like I get
Was
that.
it?
I saw a lot
There
of it
was
was
the thing with
established
the
that way.
drone. I honestly, I have no idea what went on. I lost the plot there. That was fully my bad.
Okay, I think that was part of the resistance stuff that you would have missed. And I
I
get
mean,
it because like
something
the
exploded,
flashiness.
maybe.
Yes, there's some explosions, but I'll get into that for sure. But I think honestly, it was the flashier. I agree. The flashier stuff, the stuff that they were really hammering, was the pregnancy, which like I said, was probably going to happen because it was such a water cooler moment. But you do make the good point, in that it's not a visual without the medium that we're in. That it's kind of a struggle bus that way, and I get that. All right, let's talk about some of these changes. I made the assumption, or yeah, I guess assumption is the best word. I'm using that word a lot today. I had made the assumption that we had cut some of the characters out of the first part because we were streamlining things and not to make it too chaotic. And yet it felt like instead of what we got characters that were introduced in the first one and they kind of like disappeared in the second one without any real trace. Instead of like a growing cast, it was more of a segmented cast. And given that we don't actually have any, like these are the only two that were announced. Now, I think they're supposed to be planning more. From what I know, they're doing more, and they'll probably continue it on, maybe. But I don't know if things didn't sell well. I don't know. I have no idea what the sales are for Big Finish stuff. But this is it, and I will say this: if this is it, then it does seem kind of like a failure. I still think it's better than 2009's version, but it's still ultimately a failure. Failure is a strong word, but I would say, how about this? It's not a gleaming success. I don't want to say failure, but I would say it's not a gleaming success. But some of the characters are strange. Like, for example, couple characters I really wanted to point out that threw me was we introduced Barbara in the first one, and Barbara kind of took the role of Martin.
Yeah, so then why drop her and have Martin? Just always have had Martin.
Right. It should have, and the rest of it should have always been Martin, or if you're going to use Barbara and eliminate Martin, then just use
have
Barbara the whole time. Have Barbara.
Like, yeah, this script, I feel like they really wanted to keep it like the original, but it's like, no, you need to tighten this.
Right.
Like, when Martin goes to show them why the visitors, they ask Martin why the visitors are here, and he says, let me show you. I'm like, no, we can't see it. Just say it.
Right.
Just say it. Just say it right now.
And that's also interesting too. That was the other characters I was going to bring up. Is all of a sudden Tony was there in the first part. We don't really get unless I missed it. Where did Tony go? Like in the miniseries, he gets killed. So okay, that makes sense. Instead, now we have Tony, and then he gets replaced because we also have the Donovan and Richard Maxwell show. All of a sudden, Richard Maxwell becomes not just a scientist; he becomes like an actual active. I mean, it's funny because like Donovan is this like. All right, in this story, he's a documentary filmmaker, but he kind of has that vibe of being like adventurous still. Like he's going to be an active kind of person, getting like shots involved. So you kind of believe what he's doing. Richard Maxwell is this older scientist character, and he's all of a sudden becoming like this action.
I mean, I kind of like that, kind of nerdy. It's fun, but
it's strange. It's strange to have that happen. To have Tony be his guy, and all of a sudden he's gone. Likewise. One of the weirdest parts to me was you have Christine in the first part, and she's replaced by not Donovan's mother all of a sudden, Eleanor.
Yeah, also terrible choice.
Like, yes, absolutely a terrible choice not to. I don't understand why you wouldn't have done that. Instead of like having a mother versus a son on, like. These kind of battles, like these are like, you know, they had like Civil War kind of vibes. It's great to see people on like mother versus son, brother versus brother, neighbor versus neighbor, that part of thing. Instead of mother versus son, now we get business tycoon versus filmmaker who made a film about her. Where's the stakes in the relationship there? Like you totally lost all the stakes, like with that.
Yes, they're making almost every relationship more shallow.
Yes, that's a great point. Everything is pretty much more shallow. I don't understand what the point is. Either like if I could see, oh, okay, I want to do something, I just can't see it though. I mean, Eleanor is pretty bad. It's like she's so pointless now. When we're getting rid of Arthur, and she is now the head of the plant. Okay, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's totally
That's
fine.
fine. That's a good streamlining. We don't need to have that kind of picture. He didn't do a whole lot anyway. But I just don't see what, because everything else is, Eleanor and Steven's relationship is pretty similar, although Steven's more, it does feel like she's a little more resistant to Steven's machinations. Like she's not all in, which I don't know if that's the plan to go somewhere with that, but if it is, I mean, that might be the Christine element they're trying to go for, but if that's the case, then why is Christine even involved at all? I mean, in the miniseries, Christine did become Eleanor after Christine gets killed. Then Eleanor becomes the new spokesperson or whatever. That was maybe that's like the idea they're going for, but without like giving finalities to our other characters, then it becomes like, why introduce them at all? I don't understand this at this point. And this might be something that gets solved later on, as like if they do continue this story, does everybody actually start coming together at that point?
Yeah, it's like you have all these characters in the first half. They go into the Degrassi black hole in the second half to introduce all these new characters, and it's just what was the That's just not good storytelling, to be honest.
I agree. I agree. I will say, you mentioned Willie. I like some of what they're doing with Willie. I did kind of like the celebrity angle of it. I kind of thought that was interesting, especially modern day storytelling, like a modern day time kind of thing, an influencer kind of thing, that kind of thing works. And the visitors all of a sudden Willie saves them. I like the visitors going, oh, we can use this. Because like in the original miniseries, they kind of like, oh, it's kind of scary. Like they saw us get cold and it can be a detriment to them. Instead, having the visitors like, oh, we can use this and we can use him to like whatever. I liked that. I just wish Willie had any more personality than like a dry thought, like a watching paint dry. I don't know what the actor was. I'm like, I shouldn't call the actor that much, I guess, but like I love Robert Englund so much as Willie.
I didn't have a problem with his personality or acting. I thought he was quite good, much better than whoever was doing Mike.
Didn't like Mike. Oh, interesting. No. I actually kind of thought Mike was okay. And not as no Mark Singer, but I thought he did a decent enough
just grr grr. Like, okay, I get it. Jesus.
I like that because a little more active sounding. Like Willie just sounded very.
Well, I think he's supposed to, but I think he's just not affable. He's too competent. He clearly knows what's going on. He could have been Martin.
Right. And they try to make him Martin because you're right in the competent thing, because all of a sudden, like, he was kind of the person that was like telling them stuff and everything else. And he was understanding what was going on with things more. And that was an interesting side thing. Like, but why do you have Martin then? Because Willie is supposed to be the guy. He's supposed to be like the way they had it originally. Again, I shouldn't say it. It's like I look at the original and go, well, this has to be like the original. But
I think it's fair to compare, because what we're saying is the original did it better. Like, what?
Yeah, that's always a danger.
Open to change, but improvements.
Right. And that's the danger of a remake, right? Because I mean, like the V2009, like the only thing they did, interestingly enough, was that they decided they weren't going to remake it. They were just going to like do something different, and that's a good swing in a way. Unfortunately, they just didn't do anything with it. They just went the wrong way every which way. But yeah, you're right. But we are going to. You're more likely to compare it to the past, and when you're showing me, basically, you're reminding me of a better story, a more well done story. That's not done this way here.
And to what you were saying, I feel like Brian was the worst choice.
To have him be, I'm not going to say he's the worst choice, because I feel like for me it's like an incomplete score. I thought it was an interesting take to have him be a part of the fifth column. I just don't know. It depends on how they stuck the landing with it afterwards. It made a little bit of like, okay, this is an interesting take where we're doing something a little different, and it could lead to something interesting, maybe, but we just haven't gotten there yet. I don't know. You don't like her at all,
No,
though.
man. Because I mean, if you think about it, how many visitors do we know? 5? 6? I'm not counting Barbara. 5.
Okay, fair.
Okay, so Martin. Okay, I guess I'll count Barbara. We'll be fair. Barbara, Willie, Martin, and Brian. So 4 of the 6. So
Steven,
2/3 of the
guys.
visitors we know. Am I wrong?
Well, we definitely had John briefly, I think, at one point in the first one. I think, if I remember correctly, there's some kind of military leader, maybe. But so John, Stephen, and Diana then. John, Stephen, Diana, Martin. So 7.
7. All right. It's 4 out of 7.
So
4 out of 7. 4 out of 7 are on the 5th column. It's just so the majority
that we know
are on the 5th column.
That's
here it's giving there are good people on both sides, and I don't like it. There needs to be bad visitors. We don't need to humanize the villains, all of the villains, particularly the one. Are we saying he was forced to sexually assault her? Is that what we're saying? Is that what we're saying? That's awful. That's so bad. PLD.
Well, he was. Well, we did have the sequences where like they had threatened his people back home.
His family,
his family back home, which I guess does give a good side of. But maybe
we have the same things with Willie. We don't need it with both of them.
You're right in that. That's actually because that's an interesting point they did because they never had brought that up with Willie before until this one as well. Yeah, so they're introducing that concept and they're dealing with 2 people. Right. And yeah, no, you're not wrong. You're not really wrong on that, I guess. I mean, I guess the problem is like in a visual medium, you would see all the shock troopers and stuff, and it would still feel like a minority of the visitors are 5th column. But considering we don't have that visual side of things, that we only technically see 7 visitors and 4 of them are good guys. Yeah, that is a big problem. Big problem.
Yeah, and humanizing Brian and making him are they trying to make him sympathetic? Like making him a good guy? I just feel like that was absolutely could not have been more of the wrong move.
Does he have feelings for her? Is that like an actual thing? I'm not sure.
I felt like it played very much like he did have feelings for her.
Right. And so like maybe they're gonna I mean, then that becomes a weird question of sexual assault. Like, if he has feelings for her, if she has feelings for him, then it was like. But then, like the pregnancy part.
Because here's the thing: if you lie about who you are, that's not consent.
What did he? Well, what did he
lie about? He literally said, "No, that's an affliction. We're just like you."
Okay, that's a good point. I didn't. Yeah,
and then if you drug the person after, that might not have been there could have been consent up until drugged her. That's giving it follows now.
That's a good point. I did forget about the skin infliction thing, which was interesting. Also, I did like the introduction of that as a way to go beyond the it's just science fiction lie thing that they try to do in the first one. It's an interesting way to like introduce a different angle for subversion. Like they're not going to say like, no, that actually happens, but it's more of an illness than an actual, like, we're not really like that kind of thing. It's just an alien sickness or something. I kind of like the idea of that, if that makes sense. Because in the original, like basically when they talk about lizard skin, they're like, oh, you're lying, or you're just lying. Because
I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I was gonna say, but didn't they take it? Didn't they take it back? Did I miss something?
Right.
Did I hallucinate that part?
Maybe. No, I kind of get it because it makes more sense because that's always kind of a false, like especially in modern day, like you could easily just rip someone's face off or rip skin off and you're going to see it. You're actually going to see it happen. But if you can say like this, that happens. It's just an illness, it's an affliction or whatever.
So you're saying they had a better lie this time, and I agree.
Yes, better lie. That's what I'm trying to say. I like that.
Oh man, and they also had so much bad dialogue.
There was a lot of not so great dialogue. I will
Oh,
give you that.
so much bad dialogue. I feel like that's the issue I see a lot now, because it's like how older people think younger people talk, kind of a thing.
Right. That was why Robin's dialogue is god awful. You proved that
I'm
last time.
hoping, but also it's like there was somebody else. Didn't someone use the term mansplain? And I about threw a notebook.
Maybe I kind of vaguely remember that too. I kind of remember who said it. I kind of
No one's saying that to an actual dude. No one actually uses that term outside of being sarcastic or sardonic.
Right.
Oh my god. And then they kept having Robin say like the most like catchphrases, like my body, my choice, and stuff like that. I literally wrote, what the fuck is happening? I can't believe they're doing this to me. I can't believe they're doing this to me.
That was interesting.
This story went nowhere. I was very upset.
Robin not being able to get an abortion medically, and they didn't turn it into an abortion debate like they did.
No, but it's still because like at least in the 80s, I'm more understanding.
Right.
So that's like 83, 84, right?
Right.
I'm much more understanding. It's 2025, and we medically can't give you that, your healthcare has to be you keep the baby. In 2025, I don't like that.
To be fair, an argument you have made before about Independence Day is they're introducing the scientific thing saying because of something the visitors medically, or some kind of medical experiment that got her pregnant in the first place. So it's science. Basically, you're saying it's science that they don't understand. Like Brian and Robin got pregnant. They actually made up. There's a line dialogue at one point. Brian has sex with Robin or whatever, but they basically said like Richard and Julie. I think it was Richard who said it, or somebody basically said this couldn't have happened without something else having happened. And they basically said that whatever Diana did, is what made her the pregnancy stick or whatever. So when you say that, you're implying that the alien science did something that maybe we can't. So like the medical thing wasn't about her like anything. It had to do with like a visitor science was why they couldn't medically give her an abortion. That's how I read it. So that's why I was accepting of that.
That wasn't really my point, but I see what you're saying. I did miss what you were explaining.
Okay.
But that wasn't my point in terms of theme.
Oh, okay.
Thematically, okay. I'm saying we can't give you an abortion. That would be bad for you.
Oh, okay.
That's not good health care for you. Thematically, in the 80s, I think that was okay. In 2025, I think that is not the right message.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Okay.
Just an opinion. Just an opinion.
Okay.
So I did miss that. So Diana, like I know Brian brought her to the ship after.
Right.
And then they did further experiments.
Right. Later on when Julie was talking about her being pregnant, and they had this conversation at one point where Julie basically implied like, well, like this is impossible. They said, you're right, it should be impossible. They shouldn't be able to do it. So this had to have something to do with Diana, whatever the medical things that Diana did. Diana medically experimented on her, and that was whatever she did was why she was able to stay pregnant, and not because I guess they're trying to explain a thing like back in the day, like we're like, well, that honestly should be impossible. The two species can't relate like that, so it had to be something that the visitors did, which becomes like the magic writing bullet of, well, the visitors are more advanced than us, they can do something scientifically, yada yada yada, and okay, you got to accept that that's the case. But yeah, so something like that to that point, which is why they couldn't have an abortion. And again, thematically, I get what you're saying now, and that I agree with that. I agree with that aspect of it. I'm just talking purely story point wise. That goes.
Oh God, she even said she accused him of grooming her again.
Yeah.
no one actually uses these phrasing.
Especially as a 16-year-old girl at that point, too, specifically. I agree with that.
Just get a script doctor. It's not that hard.
Another thing I wasn't a fan of is, I'm just looking at my notes now, which is why I'm like coming out left field with some of the stuff. We talk about the Irish Taylors now. The Taylor is not a Caleb Taylor. The best part about Caleb and Willie's relationship, Caleb was just like blue collar worker who had prejudice
I mean, he's
against
still blue
him.
collar.
But he was more of a supervisor role. He was like Mr. Taylor was more of a supervisor of the
Still blue collar. How much?
I thought he was more.
Make?
I thought he was still more higher up. Like I like the idea of Caleb being this like really.
Oh no! If you're at a refinery or something and you're the supervisor, that's not necessarily like high up. That's not like going to work in a shirt and tie. You're still pulling the coveralls over and like.
I wasn't sure that was the way it was with him though. Kind of the way I got it. Maybe it's because of the way the actor was coming across. The actor came across more upper brow than they had.
PLD, just because people have British accents doesn't mean they're better than you.
That's not true, actually. Anybody with a British accent is definitely better.
That is absolutely untrue. Don't do that to yourself. Shut down that hierarchy. The stereotype is wrong. I promise. I live with people from Northern England. That's basically, it's kind of like the inverse. So that's like the South in the U.S.
Okay.
They can be just as trashy and stupid as Americans, I promise.
Okay. Fair it is. What else? Okay. So the Taylor's storyline is basically the same. The story is the same, even if the characters are not. And that's problematic.
The older brother, who's a doctor, did he die within like 5 minutes of being introduced, or am I crazy?
Pretty close.
It's like, why even? Like, he is not needed in this story. Elwyn or whatever is not needed in this story. I like the inclusion of Mr. Taylor, Caleb. Right. I think he is useful in this story, but like, the brothers are not needed.
No, I mean, Elwyn is kind of like Elwyn potentially could be still useful if he's because he is the criminal still, and he's the one who was finding the resistance headquarters and that kind of thing like that. So he provides the relationships with the criminal aspect or the underground aspect that like our medical doctor Julie doesn't have connection wise. And I guess so basically
we don't need to hear it. Like in this medium, we don't need to hear. Like I don't need to hear how they got in contact to get a drone. It's 2025. I just assume you could find one outside. Like I don't need to hear how you got the drone. And you could have Christine talk about how expensive eggs are. Like you don't. He just was not needed in the medium of hearing him talk. I didn't need any of it. I didn't need everything he has done so far is just added to length. It hasn't added to story.
Okay, that's good. That's not a bad point. Not a bad point. Let's see what we have. I don't know. There's something I'm looking at my notes. One thing I did want to point out, one line of dialogue I did like that you won't get yet, but it's a callback to something. There's a line where they use the password to get into the resistance headquarters with Jabba the Hutt eats visitors. That actually is a line from the V novelization. So just started out there that I was happy to see that because it was like nice connectivity tissue. I didn't think we'd ever see that. Although the adaptation novelization might have been based on an earlier script. So it might have been like a Kenneth Johnson original line that was cut out of the miniseries for whatever reason.
Now, shouldn't it be a Sarlacc pit?
It should be. I mean,
how can is Jabba the Hutt big enough to eat a visitor?
Yeah, I think he could. He might have to cut him up a little bit, but he can take a whole one down.
Like, what was he eating? I feel like we did see him eat.
Jabba, he was eating these like big frogs.
Okay.
Like that. So like he could probably pop.
And the visitors are lizards. You know, honestly, if we could contact, is he on Coruscant?
Jabba's usually on Tatooine. That's where his home base is.
Tatooine, yeah.
Home bases.
Like, how far away are we thinking Tatooine is from Earth? I'm sure someone's done that math.
I'm sure someone. I have not. He was a big Star Wars fan. I have not done that, but yes.
Are we thinking 12 parsecs?
Probably less than that.
We'll say 12 parsecs. I think he just get someone on the Millennium Falcon and let's go. We can defeat the visitors so fast.
Boom! I like that. Who knows? Maybe that's who the alien species is. That's like the visitor's enemy. The enemy is their friend. Jabba the Hutt is the enemy that's going to come.
Now I know we've had like other Hutts. They're not very good warriors though, are they?
They're usually more the Godfather type. They're more of the generals who like send out the warriors kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so maybe like.
So what I'm hearing is we're gonna get Greedo fighting the visitors.
I don't think Greedo is definitely in the employ of Jabba the Hutt, but I'm hoping that he's going to send better employees. Like
so what I would like.
Boba Fett was employed by. Boba Fett will be useful against the visitors a little more.
So I don't think I'm going to pronounce it right. The band,
Figrin Dan and the that's right, Figrin Dan.
I would love to see them just come out and just jam and kick some visitor ass.
Did you know? This is a Star Wars fan thing. Did you know what their music is actually called? Literally called. It's called Jizz.
Oh, I did know that.
You did know that. Okay. That's definitely.
I know the guys who did the makeup were in the costumes. That's why I know what they're called because I'm a fan of Phil Tippett.
Yeah, of course, who isn't?
I think he's like 6'7". I don't know if that's true. He's like really tall. So whichever one of those was really tall was probably him. But they had a lot of like makeup effects guys in the costumes.
I like that band name too, by the way. Figrin Dan, the Modal Nodes. I like that.
Yes.
It's a good solid band name there. So I love that idea. Let's get the Star Wars V crossover. I'm okay with that.
Also, I think Mike would like them.
Oh yeah. I think absolutely Mike would like them. Mike would want to film a documentary about them, perhaps.
Oh my God. Richard Maxwell would be ecstatic to meet some more aliens.
Love it. Love it. And it actually be real aliens. They'd look like more like aliens, so he'd be more excited about it. So that look human until the affliction comes or whatever it is.
Richard Maxwell absolutely would try to study the Sarlacc pit and fall in. Am I wrong?
No, you're not. You're not at all.
Like that's the energy he gives.
He is a little goofier in this one, I think. Just a little goofier than he was in like the original. And I actually like that change, like that characterization of him. And that's a nice subtle change you can do. That's the way you can change something subtly without having to like, instead of trying to do the same story with different characters, you just kind of change the characters a little bit to fit the thing. And I do like Richard at this point doing that. I will say Kathleen is seemingly more involved in this one, even she's more of an active place with that. She has that speech with Julie and other things as well. I know something I wanted to bring up. Willie and Harmony. What did you think of Harmony in this one?
Okay, I still maintain should have been introduced earlier, but I liked them.
Yeah, okay, I liked Harmony.
Really, the only part I did like.
The rat scene was interesting because Willie's not a vegetarian in this one, but they made it seem like that he couldn't control himself around the rats.
Yeah, giving very vampire.
And I don't know if that's like a thing, like if you're gonna do that, then do it. But like they kind of like only half-heartedly did it. It was just Willie because he didn't see it with anybody else really per se. But
I was waiting for the mousy.
Why don't you throw it back? You should. Why throw that back? You should throw that back out there. So sometimes there are good quotes that like will be a good throwback. But yeah, I will say one thing I don't really like is I have no interest in this Julie at all. Like Julie doesn't do anything.
The story doesn't really have much interest in her either.
Which is so funny because she's supposed to be like the leader of the resistance.
Like
Donovan is the hot
to be the leader.
They feel like the same character, and sometimes I'm kind of like In the medium, it's kind of like this. That's the difficulty of the medium too. Is that it's like, okay, who am I listening? I don't know who I'm listening to.
Yeah, they
Donovan's supposed to be
needed a more
hot.
vocally diverse cast.
Yeah, yes, I agree with that. Yeah, so that's a problem too. Because like we have, you're writing up the fifth comic does throw me off. So also you have all these people talking at the end. Sean gets moved, and Donovan's like this.
I can't believe we're
big
devoting
hot
this
guy.
much time to unnamed child.
Fair. I mean, it does make it's kind of like Donovan's MacGuffin to be like instead of being the leader of the resistance he's supposed to be. He has
Yeah,
to
it's
be,
like he's Link and that's Zelda, and he's just off doing side missions to go rescue her. And it's like, what is the point of this?
and the point in the original miniseries works a little more because we have a strong leader like Julie. So Julie becomes the leader of the resistance, whereas Donovan kind of becomes this like hot-headed rogue who helps out, but is also more of like a adventurous, swaggering kind of guy. Without Julie being the leader, I feel like the resistance falls apart because Donovan's doing his thing. So you're not going to have Julie be strong, then Donovan really has to be the leader of the resistance. And without that, what do we have? We don't have a resistance. We have Willie's more of any. Willie seems like he's more of the leader than anybody else is at this point. To be completely honest, as far as he at least knows something that's going on, he's strong. He makes a couple like strong declarative statements of basically like, I don't want to do this. When he leaves the restaurant, I don't want to be on TV anymore. I know that I'm being used to sell this visitor thing, and like it just feels like I don't know.
Made him too capable.
Yeah, yes, that's exactly. I mean, we have Martin. We don't need Willie to be Martin. Why are you double? We don't need Willie to be Martin or Barbara at this point, actually, to be honest. So it just seems like there's too many characters being introduced for no good reason when we should be, if anything, streamlining.
Yeah, like I said before, they're adding to length, not story.
Right. And 6 hours instead of 4 hours. And that is a point that actually makes me think because it took us 4 hours to get to where we were in the miniseries. It took us 6 hours to get here, and we're still not quite at that length at this point.
Yeah, we're still not quite at the end.
So I guess there's not much else to it at this point. I mean, we pretty much covered everything at this point. I'm interested enough to keep going. I want to see if they do start bringing things together more now that we can't introduce anybody else at this point, correct? Unless you start introducing like Ham Tyler. But
I thought the drone seller was going to be Ham.
Well, it's interesting to note because Ham, like again, when I first heard about this Big Finish project, I was actually more interested to see what we would do in the Be the Final Battle era because. Like I've mentioned before, Kenneth Johnson was the spearhead behind the original miniseries. He started the final battle, wrote the bare bones of the final battle, but then left due to creative differences and everything else. But I feel like a lot of his bare bones was there. So I'm interested to see what his differences would have been. And those differences actually are kind of potentially fascinating for me. However, I'm less excited now because you didn't give me the good basis here to start this on. But what is Kenneth Johnson's Ham Tyler?
And you can introduce fan favorites earlier than what you originally did.
That's fair.
Like, I don't know, if you're remaking a show and you want like in 10 years when they remake Supernatural, we all know they're gonna. It's just a matter of time.
Probably
it's when, not if. They're not going to wait till maybe getting a season 4 to introduce Castiel. Yes, they're going to introduce him in the Castiel character in season 1. It would be absolutely wild to not do that.
It's much like having Captain America on the first Avengers team, even though he technically isn't in the Avengers for the first like 4 or 5 issues or whatever. Yeah, I get that. It makes sense. You're not wrong. You're absolutely right in that way, especially because like that's like you want to get the definitive squad, definitive team. And Ham should have been there earlier on. I think they're trying to be loyal.
It's an easy way to do it. Like there's no reason for him not to be honest.
No, yeah, I agree because they're trying to be. I think they're really trying to be like loyal to the story beats, but they're just it ends up handicapping
Too
them.
much so.
Yes, they're definitely handicapping
more
themselves.
change
Right.
for the
More
new
change.
medium.
Streamline it for the new medium. Cut some characters out and cut some of the not useless characters, but the characters that are useless as far as this narrative goes, and bring in the characters that would have given it more flash.
Also, just like hire a script doctor. It's like a young woman, so she can say, "That's not how teenage girls talk." Thank you for your time.
Oh, good old red pen right there.
Give a college student a job, damn it.
Where are the Carrie Fishers of the world?
I said college student. She was an adult.
I understand, but I'm just saying script doctors in general. Like, I feel like
I get what you're saying, and that's true. We do need that role.
Yes, correct. All right. Anything last words on this? I think we pretty much covered most of it. Most we need to say.
I'm so sorry. I feel bad. I'm so negative. I just but like I had to listen to it.
Hey, you have to get your honesty is more important here. Do you think that you say you gave the B- to the first part? Is it I'm assuming this is worse for you.
Oh, this is definitely lower. It's like it's not bad. It's just it is so lacking in basic storytelling. It's just it's so I would say it's a little below average, so maybe like a C minus.
Okay.
And I feel bad because it's like there's nothing like oh, this was horrible to get through or anything. It was just baffling the choices they made.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of baffling choices that are made. I think it could improve. I still has room for improvement, especially now that, again, like I said, I think what I was trying to say before I got to the Ham Tyler tangent is that I think we're pretty done introducing a whole slew of new characters now. We might get like a Ham Tyler type character introduced later on still, but we have the characters now, so they all should come together now, and we should be getting more of an affirmed storyline. I feel like that's what we need at this point. We have like these little bits and vignettes of everybody getting their introduction and getting their little starts, but now we need to start coming together and move the story forward more. So, if Big Finish gets a chance to finish it,
did want to say one more thing.
Go ahead.
It's very important.
Please.
When Mike wanted to break onto the ship, he did reference the ducks. That means they're doing the vents. Very important to me, obviously.
Absolutely.
Now that is showing homage to the original. That is the correct way to pay tribute. And you don't need to expand, you don't need to elaborate. You just need to throw in a little line there about going to the ducks. All right. You did the thing. I understand. I can visualize just fine. That propelled the story forward perfectly.
Perfect.
I can see Mike Donovan crawling around in those bags. Actually standing up and walking upright. He's like 6'3", fits easily.
I ended on that positive note for you. So you would go out like I work on the folks fine.
I could be found on Instagram at the Unhinged Binge. I've been posting kind of a lot lately. So if interested, that's where my location is.
There you go. Okay. You can find me at Paul_Denizio on the old Twitter. You can also find me on Blue Sky, paul.bluesky.org, brpsky.org. You can also find me all over this channel. Obviously, it's my namesake is on the tin, as my friend would say, as Matty Gunner would say. We also I do Crown Jewels on my sister channel. It's my Queen show. Every other week I do a show with Matty Gunner. Holy Snokes this week you'll get that tomorrow. We're covering the Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy Lego special, which just came out. Those are always fun and silly. Yes, indeed. I love it. What is that face?
I don't know.
They're fun. I think they're fun. Also, PJ and I do the two middle-aged geeks on film. We are headlining to our Ghostbusters / Men in Black crossover event. We're covering, actually, considering this is coming out on Wednesday. Yesterday, we covered Men in Black 2. And also on the Patreon.com PLD Projects, we are doing the MC rewatch. We are just finished Ant-Man. Our next one is Captain America Civil War. I believe that should do it. And next time here on Review, we're going back to the Review adjacent, as we call it, where we are covering movies and shows, whatever, involving people from the original cast of V or Kenneth Johnson directing, things like that. We pitched a couple of different things, but we are going to do now the next 2 episodes are going to be covering the back-to-back Watchers and then Watchers 2. Watchers 1 stars Michael Ironside, the great Ham Tyler, and Watchers 2 stars Mark Singer, the great Mike Donovan. So that's what we're going to do for the next 2. And then after that, we're going to start getting into the books and comics. We haven't quite figured out how we're going to do that yet or what the process is going to be. We're going to have to talk about that at some point off air. But we will be covering the V novels. We have a slew of V novels to cover. And then the DC Comics had off the top of my head, I'm going to say it was a 19-issue run of comics in 1984, 85, and 86. We'll cover those as well. That actually might be a quick 1 and done or 2 and done kind of episodes. It's only 19 issues of comics. We'll have to see what we can do. We'll figure it out. Stay tuned for more. We will see you next time here on Review. You and me and you, and all those lovely people out there. Pray to now, everybody. Pray to now.